Hello everybody, good day. It's another day and of course it's another video discussing the key terms and concepts under the teaching and assessment of grammar. So this video focuses on the key terms and concepts in managing and implementing the standards-based grammar teaching. So let's start. The key terms and concepts in managing and implementing standards-based grammar teaching are the following: grammaring, grammaticalizing, error correction and feedback, spoken versus written grammar, grammatical assessment, and finally, the pedagogical issues. According to Larson Freeman, grammaring is the fifth skill in teaching and learning language. Grammar, on the other hand, simply refers to what we know about a certain word, its phonology, syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. While language skills are those what we do with language. This merely includes listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Larson Freeman claimed that grammar has to be seen as a skill, not as a competence. This is true to the extent that when we write or speak, we are actually doing or performing grammar, whether intentional or unintentional. So this process is called grammaring. Grammaring is also viewed as the act of making use of grammatical structures accurately and meaningfully. And that's the reason why language learners have to study the form of a certain word and understand its meaning. Thus, it is very necessary to teach students on how to make use of grammar by letting them practice constructing their own words or constructing sentences rather than telling them the set of rules, because it's actually useless. Grammaticalizing. This is somewhat fulfilling a more grammatical function or adding grammar as the lexical word or word cluster loses some or all of its lexical meaning. In grammaticalizing, nouns and verbs containing lexical meaning will develop into grammatical items. Grammatical items are words or phrases containing a very little lexical meaning or have ambiguous meaning, which are difficult and impossible to define based on their characteristics and features, but are easier to define according to their usage in the context. To clearly understand what grammaticalizing really means, consider these following examples. By the way, this is cited from the research paper entitled Grammaticalization: The Development of Some English Modal Auxiliaries. First example, she is going to London. Second example, she is going to London to visit the British Museum. Third example, she is going to visit British Museum. And the fourth example, she's gonna visit the British Museum. Look at the first two sentences. The word go there is grammatically used as a full verb that emphasizes motion or movement and provides meaning that someone is going or moving towards a certain goal. While the third and fourth examples provide its difference. The meaning now is mainly focuses on the doer's intention to do something. So that's what makes grammaticalizing important. Since language is dynamic, of course, it is very necessary to look at the way grammar is created. Error correction and feedback play an important role in developing the learner's language learning skills, as it allows students to attain conscious knowledge in learning both second and foreign language, and even in learning the standard rules of English. Students' errors serve as determiner among teachers in knowing the effectiveness of their selected instructional materials as well as the strategies being used. Also, it enables teachers to know what part of the syllabus he has been providing that needs or requires attention and immediate remedy. Thus, it is necessary to identify why these learners commit errors in learning the target language, because most of the reasons why learners make errors in learning the target language is due to the interference of their mother tongue or their first language. However, in the research paper of Cancer and Pacdell 2018, they cited UR 1996 statement that feedback is the information given to the learner about his or her performance of the learning tasks, usually with the objective of improving this performance. And that's the reason why lots of researchers proposed that error correction can be considered as a form of feedback, since it provides details as well as determines the wrongness or correctness as well as the accuracy or fluency of the student's works. Generally, correction helps students improve their abilities as well as helping them become more accurate and at the same time strengthen their capacity in language learning and later develop higher order thinking skills that would enhance their learning competences. Spoken versus written grammar. Spoken grammar is clearly characterized as very flexible in its word order. It is much less strict compared to written grammar, and also it has functions that are not important in written grammar. Both spoken and written language serve as tools for communication. However, spoken language in its broader sense is often more casual or informal, and its approach to communication depends on the audience or listener. Communicating with informal audience does not need you to be so particular with the grammar, the subject-verb agreement rules, the complete sentences, and even the organization of your ideas. Spoken grammar often includes contractions such as can't, don't, or I'll, which are merely inappropriate in writing, as well as the inclusion of slang words or colloquialisms. We can also say that spoken grammar or spoken language is somehow breaking the standard rules of written language. And since it is dynamic and immediate, of course, it includes grammatical errors. Written language is more formal than spoken language. Planned and precise, therefore allowing little amount of grammatical errors and requiring the use of complete sentences, applying the subject-verb agreement rules, the correct format of presenting ideas, and the construction of grammar as well. Also, there is grammatical syntax that exclusively exists in written grammar that is not present or not used in spoken grammar, such as the use of perfect past tense. Grammatical assessment. When you say assessment, assessment is one of the fundamental aspects of teaching. It is the act of collecting information and making judgments on a language learner's knowledge and ability to use it. This determines the learner's proficiency in a language and helps teachers to know and identify the strengths and weaknesses of the learners that need immediate remedy. In assessing grammar, teachers should use constant assessment in order to find out what the students have learned or how their comprehension skills work during discussion, and so that the teacher can provide information to the learners regarding their grammatical performance. Today, the knowledge of grammar is evaluated by its correct use in communication through reading, speaking, listening, and writing in second language. According to Hansen and Kohn, the most authentic way to see if a student has mastery of the rules of English usage and convention is by reviewing the use of those skills in a piece of writing. They further added that language is assessed within writing assessments that specifically address language skills. Pedagogical issues. Basically, anything that relates to teaching is pedagogical. In the context of education, teachers take account to all the things inside the classroom, from the lesson plans, selected instructional materials, your approach to the students, your strategies and techniques used during the teaching learning process, the arrangements or orders of chairs and tables, and even the placement of flower vase and other things inside the classroom that could affect the process of learning are all considered as pedagogical. Other activities are how to help teachers plan for learning. Why do some activities succeed more than others? How to assess and record learning journeys. Well, our present situation or the new normal way of learning can speak a lot regarding the pedagogical issues. Diverting our usual way or the usual way of teaching learning process into a very challenging way of teaching learning process, the virtual class, wherein it creates other pedagogical issues that could merely affect both teachers and students. For instance, the availability of gadgets among students, the issue concerning having a poor internet connection, especially to those students who are living in mountainous areas, and even the adjustments between students and teachers in the virtual class.